All right, Brad Lea, how we doing today?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
Pretty good. You got the what do you got in the back there? Pickleball?
Oh, yeah. Trump gave me a pickleball paddle, signed pickleball paddle.
Nice. It's been super popular. I'm trying to get into paddle down here. It's sort of like pickleball and kind of squash together. You can play off the walls outside.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
I'm not into pickleball much.
I've never played it.
Me either. I don't know why pickleball paddle, but it is signed by Trump. So now it
Yeah,
goes
it's
in the little knick-knack wall.
yeah, it's cool. That's all good. So yeah, I mean, we can talk about all types of stuff. Like I was saying, we can talk about business and all that, but really what I focus on today is like what's behind the success, what builds the man, different levels of responsibility, and ultimately what abundance and life is all about relationships. And I see that's where a lot of people get stuck, right? It's serving others, serving their customers, and serving their wives, their people they're close with, to lead to that fulfillment in life. Before, what was the big turning point? Your story's out there a lot about business and really what sparked stuff. But what was the big turning point in life with driving your success today?
I would say being born was the biggest turning point. As soon as I came out, obviously I was destined and eventually would be here. Now, could I have went another million directions? Obviously. I think life can change at a moment and it could have been different. And everyone listening to this in the future, just realize everything could have been different. So where is it and how is it? And where are you at? Where do you want to be? And where should you have been? All the questions of life start to take place. And then you start to realize, dude, you had the decision the whole entire time. You just weren't exercising the gift of free will. Or you didn't realize it. One of the two. Either way, big mistake. Realize that you got the power, and the power is choice. That's it. Like, that's the secret.
That is the secret, right? It's all choice, and people want to play victim today. But I like what you said is exercising. I compare everything to the gym because I like to make the spiritual stuff as practical as possible, and it's having the choice to determine where you want to go. But it's
You got
exercising, right? Doesn't What's that? Do I have a six pack? Yeah. Is this
gotta gotta have a six pack to succeed. Yes or no?
to succeed? No, I
No.
don't. I don't know if you're
That's
going the
right.
Andy Elliott route, but
No, that's correct. You don't need a six pack to succeed. A lot of people can succeed without a six pack, and quite frankly, a lot of people do. More people succeed that don't have a six pack than do. Like, I know a bunch of people with a six pack that are broke too. So
yeah,
six pack ain't the answer. You know what the answer is? Knowing and acting on what you know. Like, if you don't know, you got to know. And then if you don't act, it doesn't matter that you know. I mean, knowledge doesn't really do anything, except guide the action. So, like, if people kind of realize that, you know, they're the one that has to take the action, and coincidentally, they're the only one that has free will and the choice to decide whether they take it or not. And again, does the mind run the body or does the body run the mind?
the mind runs the body. But
You sure? You sure of that? So if
well,
the
I mean,
mind,
you have to have your mind submit to what you want to do. And a lot of people, their minds kick in and they actually block them.
what'd you say?
I see a lot of people's minds kick in and actually stop them from taking the right action. Right. So it's more the way I look.
Their minds didn't kick in; they kicked out.
Yeah.
Hey, so dude, if you're following me, well then you already know I'm telling the truth. The truth is people have the choice to make. And if they realize they've got the power to make the choice, because that's free will, that's the choice gift you got. So you get to make the choice. You want to choose this or you want to choose that. Now let's start with frequency and energy, because at the end of the day, we're all frequency and energy. We're all vibrating at a frequency. There's a vibration to everything. So at the end of the day, if that's true, you can choose at a high vibration or a low vibration. If that's your choice, Michael, what are you going to choose?
High vibration, obviously.
Why do people choose low vibration? Have you ever been depressed?
Oh, all the time.
Why are you choosing to be depressed?
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's what it is. It's ultimately a choice. And if you're stuck in a
Have you ever been
position,
pissed off?
yeah, a million times.
Why'd you choose to get pissed off?
Just it was actually, it's the easy way to go. It's harder to.
Just answer the question like plainly.
Yeah, it's the easier choice. It's the immediate easier choice.
No, dude, why'd you get pissed off is the question.
Why did I get pissed off? Because
Yeah.
I wanted to.
Think of a time you got pissed off.
Yeah,
Can
ultimately
you
because I
think of
wanted
one?
to, and that yeah,
Why'd you get pissed off?
ultimately, back in those times because I wanted to. Right, I could have easily just blew it off just as much, just as easily.
I know, but that's the point, bro. What's the reason you got pissed? What was it about? Did someone spit on you? Did they look at your girl's ass? Did they fricking call your mom something? What made you angry?
The very last time, I say the last time we got in a fight was 6 years ago, but it was somebody running their mouth to ex-girlfriend.
And you got pissed off?
Yeah,
And what'd you do?
turned into a fight.
Now again, could you have chose to like give him a hug?
Yeah, could have.
Could you have chose to not get pissed off and look at it differently and like have a different perspective altogether
Yeah,
and
of
not
course.
at all get pissed off?
Yeah,
Well, that was a choice. And see, that's what people need to understand. And you already understand it clearly because you already said, well, technically, yeah, it was my choice. Yeah, but dude, you might be what's called enlightened or what I call awake. Your listeners aren't. Okay. Why? Well, dude, if I promise you, the people listening that know what we're talking about, and they're in agreement, they're already winning. Because if you look around and you're not winning, guys, you need to listen up. Okay. You're not winning because you're choosing not to win. And when you tell people that, they immediately get offended and start blaming and start telling you all the reasons that's not true. And that's what's called a victim mentality. So now they're blaming everybody else when the truth is, and sometimes the truth hurts, truth is, you're choosing to be like, I don't know what you made last year, Michael, but whatever it is, you chose to make that. Now, if you start saying, oh, it wasn't my choice, well, then, dude, you don't have control yet. Okay. What'd you make last year? Someone says $2 million. That was your choice. If someone says, no, it's not my choice. I can't just go choose my income. They don't have it yet because yes, you can choose your income. You can choose your annual salary. You can choose your vibration. You can choose your friends. You can choose your family. You can choose to work out or not work out. I mean, we can go through the list of all the things we all know are good for us. But then you look around and you go, why doesn't everyone do these things? Why do you think some dude that's sitting around, not in shape, not happy, not making money, not like really enjoying the life that he has, and he's going through it just eating junk food and being lazy and addicted to games and addicted to freaking hot Takis and all this nonsense, right? They're totally confused, doesn't know where to go, doesn't care to even go there, just apathetic as hell. You ever see those guys?
all the time.
Okay, so don't you ever wonder why, if it's their decision, why don't they decide to be successful? Why don't
My
why don't they decide to be better than they were yesterday?
They don't want to take responsibility. I mean, that's what success is. That's how you gain power, is taking more responsibility. Responsibility for yourself, responsibility for others.
Well,
And to
you,
take
you execute on everything you preach, Michael. Good. I almost want to say, but it's your podcast. If it was my podcast, I'd be like, oh, so how much did you make last year? Because again, there's people that got all the answers seemingly like you. But if you're not making millions of dollars a year, there's still more to figure out, isn't there?
yeah,
Like,
there's always something more to
I know,
figure
but
out.
that's what people need to also understand. There's always more information. And if you're not seeking it and you're not, attaining it, well, then you're floating without this information. You don't want to float in life. You want to get clear on what it is you want, reverse engineer how to get there, and go to work. And don't look up until that work's done. And if it's 2 years worth of work, well then, dude, I shouldn't be seeing you much if you're serious. Like, you know, unless of course that's part of the plan is me seeing you, which by the way should be part of everybody's plan, but that's a personal brand. That's a whole nother matter.
What's that, just being out there and being visible?
Yeah, everybody needs a personal brand.
Well, I do. Are you buddies with Michael Sartain? He's out there in Vegas too.
Michael Sartain,
Yeah,
he's
we just did a
a smart dude and he's living the life lovely.
we did a podcast.
If I were a single man, I'd probably go hang out with Michael Sartain a lot. But I'm not a single man, which means I hang out with my family all the time. And so I don't know him that well, but we know each other, yes.
Yeah, it's just talking about social circles, and it's cool to have the conversation with him because you see what you see on social media and all the women and the pageants and all that stuff. But when you can have the conversation, you go, okay, I understand what you're trying to do now, right? It's the group of guys that are bad at relationships, bad socializing, like you said, are just personal branding, and his programs to develop that and develop the person as well.
Well, I mean, again, if you asked him, he would say, no, it's a lot more than that, my friend. But
Yeah,
in a nutshell, I've never taken it, or I understand the gist is, hey, if you want to figure out how to get ladies and not be a simp and have women dripping all over you, well then he'll show you how.
yeah, but it's
And by the
so
way, as evidenced by him, because he's running around with all the bevy of beauties that he carries with him, and people invite him to places knowing full well he's showing up with a handful of hotties. So, that's his brand though. That's his thing. That's his shtick. He's doing, bathing suit beauty pageants. He can decide who the judges are. He's invited me to be a judge a couple times, but I had to turn it down because again, I'm married. Like, dude,
married man.
listen, here's some more information for you fellas out there. If you're married and you get offered an opportunity to go, judge a bathing suit contest or a wet t-shirt contest, just don't go. Like, just say no. Okay. Now that'll get a lot of back and forth between people going, screw that. And then people start arguing in the comments about whether that was right or wrong. Like, oh, look at Brad. He's just trying to cater to the female audience. You'll see all kinds of hate based on one viewpoint. What's your view on that?
I think married man. I think that's the right answer for a married man because ultimately, everything in life, what's a guy doing it for? It's for the woman, right? So if
No,
you
don't go that far, champ. That is dead wrong. How old are you?
30,
Dude, you'll learn. I started my first company when I was 30. My first 8-figure company, by the way. I thought it'd be a $1 billion company by now, and it's still in the 8-figure level.
is that the one you have now, Lightspeed?
I have many now, my friend, and that is one of them. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 30, I started that company. You got a lot to learn, my friend. And that statement, I would argue. What'd you say? You said, what do we live this life for? A woman?
No, but everything men do in the world is for women ultimately, right? It's to serve the women. So I wouldn't sacrifice a
Hey,
marriage over a.
can I correct you there?
Yeah, of course I'm open to it.
Again, that might be your view or your opinion, but you probably got it from someone who taught you that. Where'd you get that opinion? Everything you do is to serve your woman, bro. Seriously?
No, why is a guy going out there making money and doing all these things? It's ultimately to what I'm looking at the higher spiritual aspect of it.
It ain't to serve his woman. At least I don't do it to serve my woman, although it does serve her.
Yeah,
But I do it to serve, number one, God, and number two, me. I wanna serve me. Why? Because I'm the most important person living right now today in my life. Like there's nobody more important than me. And people will have a problem with that too. And it's like, listen, you got to have a different perspective based on what I said, not just get offended by it because you're not there yet. At the end of the day, people need to realize if they don't put themselves first, then they're not doing what's best for everybody they supposedly cherish so much. You understand?
yeah, you got
Like
to fill your own
if
cup
you
first.
truly love your wife and want to serve her, you'd serve yourself, bro. Serve yourself. Guess what? Let her serve her.
We're on the same.
Let everybody serve themselves. Like you can't choose her happiness and you can't make her.
No, no, no. I'm not saying that as like I'm not saying that as a sim perspective. I'm saying, but all the
Sound
things we do. What's that? Oh no, that's not where I'm coming from. It's everything we build, our mission. I tell guys, when they're talking about money and women. I said, put your mission first, and that will give you the money and the women, right? But it's taking care of yourself so you can provide value to the world, so you can serve yourself, serve God.
There
But
you go.
through serving God, you eventually align and, hopefully get married, because what a marriage should lead to family and kids, which just helps the whole world progress, right? Hopefully good kids, good families,
Well,
but that's one of the,
so you're backpedaling. You don't believe that everything you do is to serve a woman.
well, you serve the woman to
No,
get the
just
wife so you can have.
I'm just clarifying and verifying that I was
Oh
not.
no, I'm saying in more general term though. Everything that motivates guys is feminine, right? Because ultimately they want to push harder and grow more so they can ultimately find the wife. And well, I'm talking about spiritually, not just kind of day to day what guys' purpose are, like in that sense.
Right on.
You know,
So it feels like it's my interview, and I'm interviewing you now.
it's fine. It's open conversation.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Yeah. But I like to focus on that too, because when somebody wants more success or fulfillment in life, you have to look at their value to the world, their mission, and how they're serving other people ultimately, right? So whether that's in business, whether that's in family, highest initiation here is to be a father, to be a mother, to have kids, right? You become that sort of godlike person for your family. Then we have to learn and progress.
Ooh, that's a little strong.
Well, but I mean, your kids look up to
I
you, and
know
they look,
it's a good intention. Like everybody's
yeah,
Christ-like. Yes.
correct. And then your kids look up to you, and you have to lead them on as well too, because that's going back to what you said. There's always something to learn, to know, to grow and progress. There's always something, right? And I
You
see a
sound
lot of
like
people.
a faith-based man.
I like a what?
A faith-based man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have it. I mean, I don't know what your beliefs are, but I believe everyone has to have something, because it builds the strength. I mean, if you have just the stuff, just if you have the abs and you got a strong mindset, that'll only take you so far. But you need the spiritual resilience to take you even further. So I mean, I'm open to whatever anybody believes as long as it works for them. But for
Well,
for me,
again,
it's
see, I'm not. I'm not necessarily, open for anybody's beliefs. I'm seeking everybody's beliefs, but realizing that they're just opinions. Nobody knows for sure, bro. The only thing I know for sure is there's a creator. I know for sure that frickin', Yahusha, not Yahshua, or not
yes,
no, Yeshua is like, farther down the line name, but his name, like the actual name, if you'd have went
yeah,
back there and called him his name, it's Yah, like Yahusha, Yahusha. And the creator is named Yahuwah, which is Yahua. Now, it wasn't spelled that way, and that's not what you're going to go back and find. You'll find like symbols you don't even know what they mean, but it was a YW or a YHWH or YHWH. There were no vowels. But anyway, I don't want to get into a religious thing. All I know is there's definitely a creator. Don't get me wrong. There's, Yeshua or Jesus, for those of you that don't know his name, Yahusha.
talking about Yoda.
No, that's how that's like Hebrew for like the same thing.
Yeah,
But no, I'm not talking about Yohe Bahe because I'm not Hebrew. I don't
that's
even know
what.
how to speak it. I just know because I've heard all the, Yod, Vad, Haid, but that's like
Yeah,
how do you pronounce, and people are debating on whether it's true or not. But at the end of the day, I
yeah, it's
think
all names of God.
I think if you look back at the oldest scripture you can, that's where the source is. So it was closest to the source. So when you go back there, his name wasn't God. His name wasn't Lord. His name wasn't Jesus. His name wasn't anything that it is today. It was completely different, and it's not translated into that name, and it wasn't transliterated into that name. It was changed into that name, and now everybody uses that name, which again doesn't offend me. Like, I'm happy, but I'm just pleased to know his name, because like if you claimed you knew somebody, bro, but you didn't know his name, I wouldn't
Yeah, I
believe
don't
that
know.
you knew him at all.
Yeah,
And if you got to know him really well, you would know his name. And if you don't know his name, well, I call him Jesus because Dude, you can call him whatever you want. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying he doesn't know who you mean. I'm not saying anything negative. All I'm saying, as a fact, wasn't his name. You know, like your name's Michael, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, it's not Mitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so down the road, 2,000 years from now, everybody's saying, man, Mitch was the best dude ever. They
That's
could
the,
all realize that you is who they are talking about. But I can promise you, if you rose back up from the dead, you'd say, that ain't my name. I mean, I understand who you're talking to, but that wasn't his name. And so when I say that, people get offended. I don't know why. But yeah,
little debate. So what
Yahusha,
about
Yahusha. That's real. Point I'm making isn't about religion or anything. It's about, we know that there's a creator because there's too much freaking order and too much like design. This had to have been designed. This is impossible not to have been designed. So there's a creator. Now, whether it's an alien from another planet and we thought they were God because we were just primitive beings and we looked up in the sky and there was, you know, what we would call today aliens and flying saucers. Back then, we'd call them gods. But at the end of the day, you know, who knows? But I know we were created. And so that tells you there's a creator. And if there's a creator and you believe that Yahusha existed and they wrote about him, and the Bible itself like has over 64,000 perfect cross references over the span of 1,500 years. Nobody's ever written a book with 64,000 cross references over 1,500 years in like 66 different books with like 40 authors, all living 1,500 years apart from each other. How? Well, that's probably true then, right? And,
yeah?
you know, people wouldn't, in those accounts, you know, back up the life of what most people call Jesus Christ. So, you know, he's real. Okay, well, and by the way, when you say is real, that's kind of neat. Jesus, you know, that's not his name, but Yahusha is real. Well, people can say was real. Well, that's where you're a non-believer then. If you're a non-believer, he is currently real and he is real. And Israel is where they're from.
Yeah.
Israel and Israel. Anyway,
But how
I
much
get
in
off on a tangent sometimes, Michael, but
no, it's fun.
that's what you get when you have Brad Lea on your podcast, dude. You get real. You get a conversation. You don't get, you know, canned bullshit answers.
But it's fun diving into this stuff because, you know, how much would you say it's important to be able to go back and read this stuff and really do, you know, study this stuff as well? Because what you're saying, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of it's this, it's that, whatever. How much importance do you put on really spending time and learning that knowledge and applying it?
Well, I think everyone should spend a little time. You know, if you read scripture at all, it tells you to seek. You know, so I would likely guess that you probably should look and seek these answers. You know, the question you have to ask yourself is, you know, was that really, is what Brad's saying true? Like his name wasn't Jesus? You know, you'll run into people going, you know, oh, it was transliterated. And yeah, you know, it's because of this and it's because of that. And it's like, again, yeah, you're misled. Yeah, yeah. You're one of the freaking people they're pulling the wool over. You're being blinded by lies, okay, and manipulation. Like at the end of the day, you can go back to the very beginning. His name was this, and then it changed to that, and they say that's a transliteration. And I'm like, transliteration is technically where you try to get that language to sound like that name using their alphabet and their linguistic system. You follow me? Like your name's Michael in any language, but if I go to China, you know, what are those symbols? Well, whatever they are, I'm going to try to use those to get them to make the sound Michael, because your name's
Right.
Michael, and that's phonetic. It's a sound. Your name is a sound. Your name is not words. Words are used to get people to imitate the sound, which is your name. So if your name's, how do you spell that? Well, you can't. Well, then what alphabet and language and tools would you use, linguistic tools, to get someone to replicate that sound? Well, a transliteration is just that. They're trying to use new letters to make the old name pronounced, and that's a transliteration. So, like if my name was Joshua and you wanted to transliterate Joshua, but you didn't have an S and an H, you had an X, right? But the X in your language meant shh. Well, then I would use an X instead of the S and the H in English, because you don't have an S and an H, but you do have an X, and coincidentally, it makes you go shh because your name's shh. Now, let me ask you, spell shh in Japanese.
Probably has an X.
What's that?
Probably starts with an X. I don't know.
Yeah, but no joking. If you did do it and there was someone Japanese speaking on this call, they would go through the alphabet or whatever, Chinese alphabet there is.
Yeah.
And they may say, we don't have anything to make that sound. So their story goes, so that's why they changed it. So they made it Aisus, which told them that he was who he was. It didn't make them replicate his name. So then that's not a transliteration. Okay. You changed his name.
Yeah, you have to go back to the source, like you were saying. Everything's energy,
So
right?
if someone says, okay, fine, you win, because it's true, you can go look it up. The name was changed for whatever reason. Okay, well, that's the part that I would question. For what reason? Who had the authority to do that? Why aren't we still calling him the same name he was given and was basically foretold to have? That was in the original scripture, and it didn't say Jesus. Okay. Why isn't he still got that name? Why doesn't everybody still know him by that name? Why was his name changed? And who changed it? And who had that authority? And you're going to see it was a man. Okay. Was it? Was it a man? Maybe it was a man led by somebody else, another being. Because if you want to confuse people and deceive people, you use 99% of the truth and you just add a little bit of lie.
Yeah.
And
But how?
the lie might be, oh, that's just transliterated. No, you wanted me to not know it. You wanted me to not have it. So again, I'm not arguing with anybody that wants to call him Jesus. Call him Jesus, but that wasn't his name, and that's a fact. And I'm glad I know his name, and I prefer to use his name because that was his name. And you guys can all use the name that you use, and I still know who you're talking about. So everybody's happy. Nobody has to be mad at me. You do you is my motto.
Yeah, of course. Know by the fruits.
It feels like at the end of this call, I might need to send you an invoice for the coaching program.
For yours?
You're at church, bro. You're at church right now.
I study hermetics. Have you ever gotten into hermetics?
No.
Have you ever heard the word hermetics?
Yeah, I've heard the word. It was usually related to some sort of hydroponic grow farm.
Really? In what way?
Yeah, well,
To seal it, or?
you apply hermetics to you yield more per pound or something. I don't know. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Hermetics.
Hermetics goes back to universal principles, been around for 8,000 years. So it's, like you said, vibration, there's mentalism, polarity, cause and effect, gender. These are all.
Yeah, you said, what'd you call them?
Hermetics, universal principles.
Yeah, the hermetic principles based on
Yeah.
the ancient mythological god Hermes something.
Yeah, Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool because
I do know them.
Yeah. We'll coach each other. Yeah,
You know that the 7 hermetic principles, bro,
there you go,
are very similar to like everything else. Like, in other words, cause and effect is action, reaction. Like what I call universal laws. Like,
yeah, they're governing principles.
Yeah, and it's like if anybody just operated under those principles, their life would improve. And most people that hear me and you talking about them right now aren't going to get off this podcast and go look up and start following the 7 hermetic principles.
It's not that they necessarily have to follow them, but what I like, and the reason I specialize in this is because I like the governing principles, right? So it gives you a path to progress on. It gives you, it's not very dogmatic like religion can be. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room to have that direct experience yourself. So you can go to these different sides and have different experiences. Then truly knowing is, inner knowing. And that's what helps you on the vibration. A lot of people talk about the laws and law of vibration, but they don't understand how to actually raise their vibration.
Well, yeah.
Right. There's a difference between knowing and doing, or at least thinking about something. And a lot of people get too caught up in the information and even the Bible and stuff, it says it's that way. And it's ultimately, it's like, I think you already said this on the podcast, but it's information, unapplied information is worthless.
100.
Yeah, a true spiritual path is going to give you that direct experience. Then you're going to be able to experience the principles. You go, oh, okay, I can tell, going back to anger and joy, I can tell when I'm in joy and that energy in the life I have in that state. And I can tell what's happening when I'm angry and sad and fearful.
Well, it's funny because when you said Hermetic principles, I just read this whole thing on it, but I didn't put two and two together. I thought you were saying like, well, it's crazy. Like I might be getting like what you call pre-senile. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, forget things.
Not that older.
I'm 55.
You're good.
So the 7 Hermetic principles, bro, you should study those and get deep into them.
That's what I teach. That's what I'm a guide in a Hermetic lineage. So that's the sort of backbone of the lineage. We have 4 pillars. We have Kabbalah, Hermetics, astrology, and alchemy. And then we have the school. A lot of people don't understand that there's actual spiritual schools they can go attend. I like to say kind of like a modern day Hogwarts, but like, similar to a university where you go in and there's curriculum and there's, branch leaders and teachers. So you can actually study this stuff. And, if you go look back into, what would you say the name for Jesus?
Yeah,
You said it? Yeah. So you go back and study his teachings and stuff and where he traveled around Tibet and Egypt, right? It's like, how did he was born a human. So how did he obtain the power that he obtained, right? It was prophesied that he was supposed to do these things, but he had to actually go and obtain those things to attain that energy that he was able to share. It's what, in the Bible, I was raised Catholic, but I ask people all the time. So where was he from 12 years old to 30? Nobody has an answer. Not a lot of people. A lot of people don't have an answer, right? So they look at him as this, yes, he was a savior, but
I read the Aquarian Gospel.
No, I haven't.
Go grab that book and you'll know where he was.
Yeah, he was traveling around. He was actually learning that stuff. He was studying with people. And then when he appeared, when he did when he was 30, he did the first miracle at the wedding. But there's deeper meaning behind everything. And people, if you look at something like it is and don't understand the actual knowledge behind it, people miss a lot of pieces. So it takes a lot of power away from them because it's saying, oh, well, this high spiritual figure did this thing. And it's not, I see a lot of people that are very religious think, oh, it's not possible to ever do that. That was a one and done thing and nobody can ever recreate that. And there's been plenty of, he had his own specific purpose. There's been plenty of masters of lights for thousands of years that have had their mission and fulfilled their mission while they're here on Earth. Because the one thing I never understood was, like I said, I was raised Catholic, but it was always like, okay, God will handle it. And we're saying all these prayers and stuff, and I'm like, are we not, back to the original beginning of the podcast, it's like, are we not going to take responsibility and do it, right? It's like we're put here to co-create. That's why if we don't have the connection with God, then we become very stuck and leads to more suffering.
Yeah, well, I'd say it more simply, God don't work for you. You work for God.
Mm-hmm. So back to, how do people obtain power and progress? It's understanding your role and responsibility, right? I like to say it's when we have these kind of initiations we go through in life. I use marriage, for example. Why do marriages fall apart within a couple years? It was all great for the relationship and everything. Then once they get married, something changes. It's almost like there's a new pressure on them. There's a new level of responsibility they're supposed to take on and ends up falling apart. There's multiple reasons, but what I always say, it's like if you're not fulfilling your role, then you get fired. And a lot of people, as they want power and stuff, but they don't want to accept the responsibility that goes with it. So they sort of hijack power and they have temporary gains and it falls apart. It's also going back to marriage. A lot of people don't respect what marriage actually is. Right?
There's a bunch that don't, that's for sure.
Yeah. If you don't respect your wife doesn't respect you, what happens? It falls apart. So, I like to make the spiritual stuff very practical and tangible, but then also you have to highlight the sacredness behind it. Because if you overlook the sacredness and you overlook the details in anything, details in a business, eventually it just falls apart. What's up?
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people can get stuck because there are so many more details. There's so much more intricate pieces, subtle pieces that, you can unlock that do give you more power to help you progress and move forward. It's not about like I was saying before the podcast, we can talk about business and stuff like that, but it's never about the stuff. It's never about that mundane stuff. It's everything behind that. It's all the energy creating that thing. And ultimately, the spiritual path is about co-creation with God and, self-actualization, becoming that thing. So what would you say is that thing in between who they are now and who they want to be and actually obtaining that thing? The gap.
Action.
Right. But a lot of people they know the right action, but they still don't do it. Right. Would you say it's a lack of maturity, lack of wanting to take responsibility? They don't have a big enough desire yet?
I personally believe they don't know what actions to take.
Right. Which means, going to cause and effect, right? So if we want to be the cause, we have to go move up a higher level. So they're stuck at level 1. Level 2 is the cause. They're the effect, right? So if you want to be the cause, you have to keep moving up. So I see a lot of people get stuck is they're not willing to let go of that level 1, ask for help, and be open to receiving the new knowledge at level 2, right? Whether they're reaching out to somebody, maybe they're in your mentorship program and saying, hey, how do I get to the next level? And you're like, well, here, you got to empty your cup, right? Because how many people do you talk to that their cup is already full and they hear, they're sitting there listening, but nothing's landing for them, or they keep tying it back to, oh well, but it has to be like this, but it has to be like this, and you'll say like, what's the stuff? The stuff you're telling me is the stuff that's not working, right? So there has to be that willingness to let go of maybe it worked at level 1, but it's not going to work at level 2 anymore. There's a few foundational pieces, but it's the willingness to say, hey, this served me to a point. It kind of hit the end of the road. I have to be open to something else and committing and taking the action to gain those new results.
Well, you're not going to hear an argument from me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just responsibility, right? I think that's where a lot of people get stuck is they look at the physical world, the sort of mundane world, say, oh well, okay, I want more of this, more of that. They scale more of the same. How many cars can you have in houses? How many this or that? It's like, what about the deeper aspects of that? Do you get a lot of guys? I have 2 groups of guys. I have the guys that are about 25 to 40, and then I have about 60 to 80. I have a group of guys like that as well. And it seems like the young guys need more structure and consistency, and the older guys need more. They've worked all their life, they're hyper successful, but they've sacrificed a lot of those deeper aspects of life, the more fulfilling pieces like the relationship and the love. Is that something similar you see?
Not really. I mean, I'm not looking for it. So you tend not to see the things you're not looking for.
Right.
And I'm not trying to figure out, what other people are doing. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I don't really notice those things, to be honest. If you were to tell me that, it wouldn't surprise me. A lot of older dudes, I think, had the same experience over and over, and they're really, just like younger dudes anyway. They're just older. Like, in other words, people are people regardless of their age. You know what I'm saying? It's just like some are younger and some are older. Usually, if you're smart, the older ones have gained some experience and should have a little more knowledge than the average person if they've been a good steward of knowledge and were intelligent enough to collect it along the way. Some people will have been fighting it along the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't listening and they weren't learning. They were talking and they were laughing and giggling and getting drunk and doing all that. Now, I started there, but then I shift over here to now a different type of person. And by the way, there's young and old over here. So it's not a young or old thing. Like, you're either this or you're that. If you're young, you're this, you're old, you're that.
Would you say it's more of a maturity thing overall?
It's more of an enlightenment thing.
Right.
Like, again, I mean, if people don't realize that their frequencies and their vibrations, we are not flesh and bone and as simple as you think. We are miraculous, soul-driven beings with like intuition and emotions and, vocal cords for that matter. Like, the fact that we can even talk and you can hear me, the fact that we created a computer to hear each other on, even though we're on the
thousands of miles away.
I mean, it's like, dude, it's miraculous stuff. And there hasn't been a computer made that's a fraction as good as the human brain.
Yeah.
The human mind is bigger than the brain. Like, the mind is is the master. The mind is the controller. So if you had a whole bunch of video games and a PlayStation 5 and you had no controller, dude, a lot of that shit's worthless now. As soon as you figure out the controllers, what controls everything, well, now you figure out how to master that controller, and now you're heading down the right path. Everybody else, dude, they don't even realize there is a control. They're just looking at the covers of the games, thinking that, boy, those would be fun to play. It's like you realize you can have anything you want. Well, people just say that. That's not true. Not me. I can't do it. I didn't have a mom growing up. I was left alone, or whatever story we sell ourselves on.
Right.
Anyway, I don't like to get deep because then people, really feel almost they have a deep emotional trigger.
That's okay.
And then I get people telling me, "Oh, you changed my life." And I say, "Really, what I say? Like, how did that happen?" Like, well, you said this, you said that, whatever caused them to do whatever they did, to do whatever happened. Who did what they did? Did I do what they did, or did they do what they did?
I think people
Michael,
spark things in
answer the
people.
question. Did I do what they did, or did
They did
they
it.
do what they did?
They did it.
So I didn't change their life.
Yeah, but
See,
you can spark. You can
that's the part people
ignite
don't
something though.
understand, though, dude. That's why we got to keep it simple and not have all these, high level conversations around symposiums and talk about quantum physics. And it's like, listen, why don't we keep it simple so people understand? We're all vibrations. We're all frequencies. If you tune your frequency up here to what I call the heavenly frequencies, you're in a good mood. Everything's bright and sunny. There's truth. There's safety. There's confidence. There's courage. There's hope. There's optimism. There's love. There's excitement. There's enthusiasm. Or you can come down here, what I call the earthly energies. Okay. The earthly energies, that's the greed and the shame and the guilt and the fear and the doubt and the confusion and the uncertainty. I don't want no part of that. I want to be up here in the heavenly frequencies.
But to the average person, the heavenly frequencies take strength, and a lot of people are lacking that strength and the resilience to actually get there, right? Because
in your opinion,
well, think about a nice, happy person without
everybody's got the power, Michael. Okay?
Yeah,
there's nobody without power. They've got the strength. They're choosing not to do it. We have free will. We're very powerful. They've all got the power. It's sitting there right now. They possess it. And when
so you think they can?
You say they don't have the strength, dude, you're limiting them, and that is not true anyway, because they do have the power. They're just not using it, dude.
Well, you have to build up to that as well, too, right?
No, we're given that. Okay, it's your birthright.
But could somebody at a snap of fingers?
Life force, bro. It's called a soul.
Right, but what is the purpose of a soul? That's why when people don't understand these aspects,
drive the body and its experience. Like your soul is your
soul's your connection piece. It's kind of it's that mediator between your spirit and your physical body. That's your communication device. So what I'm saying is, because I agree with you. I don't like to get too far over people's heads, because just a little bit, right? This conversation should spark some type of action or interest. Maybe they go read something, one of these books, maybe they reach out, whatever it is. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think both of us can agree, if it was as easy as just, hey, let me just be in these high energies, we would have had that years ago. Was it possible years ago? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Right. It's always that potential is always there, but it has to be earned in the same way.
You don't think it's possible?
I think so. I think everything in life has to be earned. I don't think God will just be like, here's the guy doing partying, doing bad things, doing drugs all the time. He's going to have the most energy. I think the most power, the most energy and power is going to go to the person actually using it responsibly.
So right? You think there's limited power?
I think it's given to the more
people have the power, which is limited power. You believe there's limits. You believe only certain people get the power to do it.
No, I didn't say that. I said the difference. Look at where you are and look at somebody on the streets in Las Vegas. Can that guy, he has the potential to be in your position, right? There's a path for that guy to achieve that if he wants to be. But is he going to, right? But is he going to have that overnight, or does he have to earn that and progress towards that? That's what I'm saying. It's the same.
Does he have the power to do it? Yes or no?
Does he have the power? Yes.
Okay.
Well, he has the potential. He has the potential to do it, but it has to also be earned.
He's got the power to do it, bro.
But I'm
You
saying I think what we're
listen on this one, because again, bro, I know you're educated, especially in the higher levels of most, because I can tell by what you know. But in this case, all I said is everyone has the power.
are you saying the power? That's what I'm trying to clarify. Are you saying the power is the potential, that kind of that like unawakened power that's sitting there ready for them when they're able to step up and actually utilize it?
Again, I mean, you just changed everything. That's not what I said. I said
No, I was
everyone has
asking.
the power.
Right.
Everyone has the power. That's what I said. Like, argue that if there's an argument. If you agree with that, well, then that's all I said.
Yeah, I think the power is there
Everyone
ready.
has power. Well, do you mean potential in double dip and buttermilk? Well, I didn't say all that. I said everyone has the power.
Yeah.
They have it. They have
Yeah.
it. You have it. I have it. They have it. They have it. There's nobody on earth that doesn't have it. So they've got it.
Yeah.
Now,
What
why they
happens
aren't
is
using it,
people.
that's another conversation.
Yeah,
How
of
people
course.
use it is another conversation. The fact that they have it, I will never agree to any limitations put on people. When you gave a limitation, because you did say only certain people are going to have the ability to do that.
No,
No,
I
they
said the
all
people.
have,
No. I said the people. I said the people are going to take the responsibility and use the power, because if the power is
but
sitting
we
there
all
for,
have the power.
yeah, it's available, but the people who are going to, because it's a kind of container. Your
Yes.
vessel is going to increase, right? You don't
Well,
have this.
hey, for all the people you can't help, because you're describing that there's certain people that ain't going to be able to do it. And I'm saying,
I've
all
never said that. No. I didn't say that. I said you increase your capacity of power.
you started with but, dude. I said,
What you're saying is
but
the capacity to obtain
the
more and
limit.
more power is driven by responsibility. We're on the same page, because we've everybody who's been through it understands this thing.
Anyone that listens to this podcast is going to think we were fighting. And dude, guess what? These are the most popular ones. Why? Because we have a difference of opinion apparently, but we really don't. And people listening will realize, well, he
Looking at
agrees.
different ways.
He agreed with he's saying the same thing.
But I like to look at it as a.
Hey, listen, if you get all your listeners to vote, okay, let's do a live online vote and debate about it. See, this is what's fun, dude. Like if you go live and you get a bunch of people involved, but they're focused on the actual like debate that's going on, because this is a good debate. You know, whether or not you just gave something limitations or not, and like that's a debate. What we're actually talking about is a debate. Like it's always a debate in life. Everybody's got their own opinion. Everybody's got their own way of saying it. Everybody's got their own like process, seems. So
Yeah.
to me, bro, I listen, even to guys like you that are younger, but dude, obviously you're I call it learned. You're learned in certain things. But in 20 years you're gonna be a lot smarter than you are right now. You
No, of
realize that?
course.
Okay. Well, I've already had that 20 years. So I've been 30. Now I'm way older and I'm way smarter. And you, even though you're smart, you need to
There's always
keep
more.
listening, keep
Yeah.
tweaking, keep shifting, brother,
That's
because you sound like you're dead on. This is the way it is. It ain't the way
no.
it
It's a never-ending thing. What I'm trying to say. Look at it in business, right? The guy who's at the bottom of the business and the top of the business. The guy that's at the top of the business has more power in that business. Same thing in life.
We're
He
not talking
can.
about business. That's a bad analogy, bro. Try again.
I'm using the same thing. It's in life though. But the guy there's.
No, we're talking about people. We were talking about people have the power. And then you said, yeah, but some of them aren't going to be able to do this because you even started it with but, which is a limitation in and of itself. You said, but they aren't going to do it, which again, you may be correct that, hey, Brad, we'll do a test. We'll see because I'll be right. No, you'll be right that they don't achieve it, but you'll be wrong with what I said because what I said is fact. It's not an opinion.
They have the same power from God. Everybody has that same power.
Okay, that's
It's
all I
just.
said.
It's
That's
just. Do you
all I
want?
said,
I
brother. That's all
understand.
I said. You're
We're on the
arguing
same
something
page.
I wasn't even saying.
We're on the same page, but it's connect. It's actually it's connecting to that power to actually be able to utilize it, and it's taking responsibility and taking those actions, and you build yourself up. That's what I was saying.
I would I would
Same
agree.
thing. Same thing in a business. If you have a guy that's at the bottom of the business and he takes the responsibility of his role at that time, he proves himself and he works his way up. Then once he's at the top of the business, he has more power in that structure. Everything should be looked at as power and structure, so you can actually we can make sense of it. It's the same thing with the spiritual realms too. There's a hierarchy, there's a structure. When I learned this stuff, I goes, oh, God's like a business owner. He's got his team, he's got his C-suites, he's got his management, all these different levels, which helps administer that power. So really just this whole conversation just goes back to the responsibility piece. It's like no matter who you are, you have that potential to tap into that power and start utilizing that power. No matter what position you're in.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. Like I said, I'll only argue if I disagree with you.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. I think anybody who has had any success in life understands that one thing. It's like all the potential in the world can be there, but you got to take responsibility and take the action. The rest of the stuff can get very, okay, whatever, right? But ultimately it comes down.
What do you do for a living, Michael?
I'm a guide. So I do healings, activations, initiations to help people progress on their spiritual path. So with the spiritual tools, yeah. And with
that's awesome, dude. That means you're just floating around, helping people, living in the. You got like crystals and stuff.
No crystals, none of those. But
so you're like.
But it's not the.
Were your parents hippies?
Not at all.
How'd you get into all the mystical stuff?
Since I was young, I always wanted to figure out, it's all when I remember 5 years old, everyone was running around with their heads off. And I'm like, no one's figured this out, huh? I was raised in Catholic school, church all the time as an altar server. And I was like, no one's
Catholic school, the bad kind?
Probably. It was in Pennsylvania.
You know how you can tell, I can tell you if it's a bad school? It's Catholic.
Yeah. Well, I didn't agree with it, so.
I'm just joking. I didn't go to Catholic school, but my buddy went there, and he said the nuns would smack their hands with rulers, and it was strict. But this was back in the day.
Yeah, that was before me. But yeah, they did that for my parents' generation. But yeah, I was raised, and I was like, there has to be more than this because everyone's on this weird disagreement. So it's like, what are the principles that just work for everybody? That's why I like to study universal principles and go deeper in all this stuff. And I think if you have something that's not giving you the fruits, you got to search deeper. And ultimately, what's going to work with you is going to give you a truer sense of reality, right? And a lot of people create based off illusion and these, I think it might be this, it might be that. The closer we get to truth and reality, the better life can be. The more, otherwise it's opinions and ideas and, just perspective, emotion, all this stuff. And this keeps people stuck. So yeah, these tools have been the most powerful stuff I've found because when people come to me originally, they're in some type of suffering, they have some type of issue, and they don't think they have the power to actually overcome that. So healing is healing a relationship with yourself, connecting back to God, and ultimately through that power you can serve other people and deepen your experience in life.
Well, dude, that's good information.
But going back to what you were saying, if you're not filling your own cup, you're kind of useless to everybody else, right? So you have to put yourself first. You have to be selfish. And a lot of people are like, oh well, they look at that as a bad thing, but the stronger you are, the stronger everybody around you can be. You can share that with them as well. Yeah, when I found this stuff and I aligned with this stuff, it was in my kind of early mid-20s, and it just started, light bulbs started going off. It was filling a lot of gaps. It was pieces of religion that didn't quite make sense to me. Going back to, like I said, where was Jesus between 12 and 30 years old? How did he become who he became? What were those pieces? What was his path like? What did he have to learn and obtain to be able to do what he did?
Well, I'm starting to get the signal that it's over an hour, bro, and I wish I could keep talking, but I got to get running, man. But you're a smart dude, especially at 30. At 30, dude, I didn't know anything. You knew way more at 30 than I did. Is it translated into success for you financially and otherwise? Are you like highly sought after and booked a lot? I like how you say you're a guide. That's better than a coach.
Well, a guide is like, think of it in like somebody who's guiding you through the jungle, right? Somebody there's a path. That's why we have a lineage. Lineage has been around for over 3,500 years. So there's people, when somebody says, well, how do you know all this stuff? It's like, I didn't read a Tony Robbins book last week, and I didn't start just jumping on podcasts, spewing kind of opinions. This is passed down student to teacher for the last 3,500 years. And what got me into it too is you look at guys like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, Winston Churchill, all these great leaders, artisans, philosophers. This is what they're tapping into. They're tapping into universal laws, and they're applying it to their crafts. And that's why they created the success and the beauty that they did. All those creations were very divine creations. If you look at any of the paintings the artist did, right? Those are all very divine paintings. So it's like they're tapping into a higher realm and bringing that power into the world to uplift everything here. So that was what's inspiring to me. So ultimately, a spiritual path is to empower the person, the people that don't think they have the power, that don't know it's, like we're saying, it's sitting there waiting for them. It reconnects them back to themselves, back to that power, back to the divine, helps them move
What are you
forward
guiding
past
them?
their
What are you
stuff.
guiding them through, and where are you guiding them to?
Self-actualization, right? Know yourself, know God. If you know yourself, if you know God, and that's going to be your power source, right? So,
Quick question.
yeah,
I was assuming a guide because coach, mentor, guide. To me, it's all the same thing. But I like the
similar
word.
context.
I like the word guide better. But when I think of a guide, dude, I think of someone who's already been where I want to go. They're already there. Like they've been there and they're back for me to help me go back there again. They know exactly how to get there.
Yeah,
That's a better example of a guide is like, let me guide you. Let me show you the way. Now, to me, that makes me wonder, like, so where are you taking these people to self-realization?
correct.
So
And that's
people pay you to take them to self-realization.
yeah, because everything's an energetic result, right? So when they come to me and they're stuck, there's a stuck energy, something about that needs cleaned up, removed. So we start with, when you say spiritual, understand it can be a bunch of BS because it's all people look at spiritual. They ask me, oh, is it ayahuasca, mushroom, psychedelics? Is it whatever? I said no. Ultimately, the spiritual path comes down to energy, power, and responsibility. Those are the things. So it's giving that to that person, helping them grow and progress in those areas so they become more empowered in their life, right? Because the only thing a guide really does is opens the door and gives somebody as much tools, teachings, and potential as they possibly can. And then they're in the driver's seat and they utilize those things and they become what they need to become, right? And the
What are
more
you,
you, what's that?
what are your goals?
To keep, deep in my connection with God, know myself, help other people. I think the number one issue in the
Like
world,
break it down a little bit. Like what's your
yeah,
financial goals?
as in like a annual financial goal.
Yeah, like what are your goals financially?
Do you mean like annual revenue, or like for the spiritual stuff, particularly? Because I don't.
Financial goals. Do you have any financial goals?
Yeah, but I separate the spiritual stuff from the business stuff,
Of
right?
course.
The spiritual stuff obviously has structure, organization, can run like a business, but I don't put all my financial intentions, whatever, just on the spiritual stuff. The priority for the spiritual stuff is to help move people forward. Because if we look at all the problems in the world,
I
all
know
the
that
problems.
I'm asking specifically about your financial plans. Do you have any?
Yes,
What are you trying to accomplish financially?
acquire home service businesses.
Do you do that currently?
That's what I'm working on now. Yeah. I've had business in the past, online agencies, stuff like that, and once that's developed into the acquisition business.
Do you want a guide?
Yeah, of course. That's what I mean. That's why you have to have a guide in everything, right? I had a guide when I was bodybuilding in the gym. I have spiritual guides. I have teachers all over the world, right? Through this lineage, I have guides in business as well. So yeah, I think you never know everything, right? There's always the next level. So when somebody says, "Hey, what can you guide me on?" I'm an expert on the spiritual, so I can guide you on that, right? But if somebody says, "Hey, can you help me in business?" Yes, I have a ton of experience in business, but is there somebody better? Yeah, probably, right? But yeah, we need guides, coaches, mentors in every area of life. If you're struggling in a relationship, look at the person who has the ideal relationship that you want. Ask them for help. Hopefully, you can receive that help. I think we're on the same page there. But I tell everybody, you need the fastest way to success is to find a guide in whichever area of life you want to excel in.
Yeah, again, I agree with you. Hey man, what's the name of the podcast so I go listen to it? I'll share it out for you.
Yeah, Leaders Podcast. I'll have this process for the next couple hours. I'll send you a message and I'll get it posted up, and we'll have clips and all that too, so you can share if you want.
All right, cool. Well, I
Cool.
appreciate the time, buddy.
Awesome. It's a fun conversation. Appreciate it.
Keep crushing it, dude.
I will. Have a good one. Thank you.